So last night, Democrats managed to successfully retake the House of Representatives. Well, that means Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi will no longer be the minority leader. In fact, now we've got to figure out who's going to get the Speaker's gavel. Well, after Democrats retook the House, a lot of people were critical of statements made by Pelosi during a speech last night. In fact, she said, "We will have accountability and strive for bipartisanship," she said in D.C., echoing comments she made earlier in the day. Quote, "We must try. We must try to be more bipartisan." Uh-oh. In fact, she says, she continues, we have a bipartisan marketplace of ideas that makes our democracy strong. We have all had enough with division. She also said, she also called for unity in the name of the vision of the founding fathers. So here she is, after Democrats retake the House, saying, we all need to come together. We've got to come together. And we need more bipartisanship in Washington. Now, the problem with that is that, look, in a normal system, I would say, great, bipartisanship. But then you would actually have to have good ideas to bring to the table on the other side. What ideas do Republicans have on the other side? Hate, division, tax cuts, and deregulation. That's all they have at this point. They don't have anything else because they've went so far to the right. Obamacare, the thing that they have always that they had run against before and capitalized, that was their idea for healthcare reform. They don't have any other ideas. So this whole idea of, oh no, we need to come together and we need to unify over and get into the spirit of bipartisanship. Well, it's ridiculous because, again, they bring nothing to the table. Nothing. But anyway, I'm not the only one who has been critical of Pelosi. In fact, on Twitter and social media, she faced a big backlash after saying this. Let me read you some here. Nora Batimmons said, quote, Pelosi is promising bipartisanship and Dems are nowhere near winning yet. They've learned nothing. And now this was actually before it was announced that they won the House. They also said, this is Patricia Wallinga saying on Twitter, as one of her constituents, no thanks. Meeting the Nazis halfway is 50% more Nazism than I can tolerate. Nice. That's of course, look, you look at all the white supremacist shootings that have happened in just the last 2 weeks. 4 different shootings done by white right-wingers. People who are embracing white supremacist views and sexism and misogyny. Doing that violence. And Pelosi's like, bipartisanship. No, I don't think so. Now, Chris V says, let's play nice with hyenas and hope they won't bite us. Surely it will work this time. Of course, that's a pretty good reference to what Democrats have been doing all along. Every time they get an advantage in government, whether it be the Senate or the House, they're the first ones to reach across the aisle. Problem is that you never see Republicans do the same thing. No, Republicans, the only time they reach out is to slap us in the face. I mean, look what happened as soon as Republicans gained control of government. Immediately, they tried, unsuccessfully, sure, to repeal the ACA, to take away health care for millions of Americans. Now, the ACA is far from perfect, but it did give people the ability to get health care and health insurance, especially when it came to the Medicaid expansion. Republicans immediately wanted to rip that up. They did not reach across the aisle. They don't care about reaching out to the other side. So why are Democrats so concerned with reaching out to the far right? And of course, the one thing that they do always reach out and actually successfully do bipartisanship is, of course, on deregulating the banks. And that's exactly what happened. There's more. Imaginary Canadian pronoun jail, tweets, and I love that name, by the way. Dear Nancy, either straight up resign or tell me when in the last decade Republicans have ever showed even the slightest spirit of bipartisanship when they held the reins. And, well, never. You can't really point out any time in the last 10 years. And finally, David Clean tweets on Pelosi, nothing that's happened tonight has made me think that sticking with the exact same Democratic leadership that delivered us Trump 2 years ago has been a prudent strategy. There are lots of exciting new faces tonight, and they need to take over ASAP. Maybe people like Barbara Lee, who is far more progressive than Nancy Pelosi, and is a woman of color to boot. So why not replace Pelosi? Well, there are people who are apparently diehards that can't wait to defend her. Here's one of them. Now, this is Washington Post columnist Megan McArdle. She said, Nancy Pelosi is probably the most effective Speaker of the House in living memory. I understand the arguments for ditching her, but can't help feeling Dems would be fools not to put her in the position where she can do the most good. Now, what's the translation to that? Where does she do the most good? She actually does the most good at raising money from big corporations. That's what she's good at. She goes and begs corporations and big donors for money, and then they give her that money, and then she gives it to other corporate Democrats. That's the role Nancy Pelosi plays, and she plays it very, very well. She is deep in the cocktail circuit. That is also why she is disconnected from regular human beings. She doesn't understand regular people. She doesn't understand what we go through because she is so deep into that Washington elite bubble that she'll never understand. She doesn't understand why people are angry at her. She doesn't understand why people want to challenge her leadership. And by the way, under her leadership, there have been historic losses for the Democrats. Thousands of seats across the country. The loss of the presidency, and first the House, then the Senate, then the presidency. And then, thanks to progressives running, Democrats have actually regained the House. So what has her leadership done? Nothing. And so her repeated calls for bipartisanship, they hurt the party. They are hurting us more than helping us. As I said before, if we lived in a normal fucking world, then bipartisanship wouldn't be a problem. But right now, we're living in insanity, where we have, white supremacist terrorist attacks all the time now, killing more people than Muslims, extremists, killing more people than anybody else. 70%, 71% of all terrorist attacks, and actually it's probably even more now, are committed by right-wing terrorists. So you tell me why we got to reach out to that side and to a president that says, oh, no, there's good people on both sides. I don't agree with that. Pelosi, look, she's got to go. She's an ineffective leader. She's great at raising money, but that is the complete opposite of what we need. And so do the right thing, challenge her leadership, and actually put in leaders who represent us. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.